Šipol, zrušený let. Čipola. 6 ráno. Takže včera Amsterdam. Dneska Frankfurt. Čau Lukáši, ty tady zase maluješ?
Zase trpím tady, vole, musím tady dělat nějakou zase dodávku.
A kolik z toho viděl z toho Washingtonu?
Tady dodávku stěnu, vole, moc jsem to neviděl.
A metro, vole.
A dobrý, a metro, přesně.
No, tady, vole, musím malovat, vole. Místo, abych neděli odpočíval, tak zase tady můžu malovat. Tady Hanka, vole, z Brna, ty vole.
Zezvina, jsou Hanka z Kotyša. Čaute.
Majitelka se jmenuje Hana, je ze Zlína. Day 6. This is it. Day 7.
I am an artist and I am the director of DC Walls. I started doing art when I was a young little man. Probably started really dabbling in art when I was in 6th grade, 5th grade, and I was copying album covers, like heavy metal album covers, because those were around that time and they're very illustrative. So I would recreate those in my own version. That led to me working on just random different things, but when I got into high school, my family kind of was into a bad situation, and then I turned to drugs and then graffiti. Luckily, graffiti won, and I was going to high school in Maryland at the time, and we would come into DC and do graffiti here and there. I then went to college, University of Maryland. And then whenever you go to college, I think when you become an art student, you always sit there and think that you have to replicate other people and their styles and stuff like that. But at the end of everything, I went straight back to aerosol. And from there, I've just stayed with it ever since. I came into being the director of DC Walls because I always like organizing cool projects and work with cool people who do cool shit. And luckily enough, I invited Jasper Wong and his wife Amy to work on a project with me. And I didn't actually know that they had a festival themselves. I just really liked his work. And then all of a sudden it came about that he said, oh, you know what you're doing, it appears. And why don't you do the festival here? And I was like, what festival? He was like, why don't you come to Hawaii? Why don't you see and paint and experience it? And then you can let me know what you want to do. And then I fell in love with it. But in Hawaii, it's such a beautiful paradise, but it was like 150 amazing artists. And it was the who's who of who's who doing everything. I wanted to do smaller, like 10, 20, around that size. So since 2015, when we met and started doing it, to now. So we're in about our 10th year coming up. And it's such a beautiful, amazing experience because I get to work with people that are my friends, the people that are my idols, people that are that have never touched a can before. And it doesn't have to be like that. It can be, they can paint with whatever. It's just an amazing experience because the connection and the exchange through art to help beautify a community is something that I've always loved and wanted to push further for me personally as a reward for being able to be an artist and do it for a living. And it's a very humbling experience. A couple years ago, I was contacted from these wacky tobacco guys from the Czech Republic, and they said, hey, we would love to do a cultural exchange. And I said, brilliant, what do you want to do? He said, we don't know. I said, I don't know. So, but it ended up coming up to a point where the flights were booked, and then my festival lost funding for the year. C'est la vie, shit happens. But they're like, we're coming. I said, cool, you want to paint? Yep, we'll paint. And we paint. And now we're at the end of the part where we've got to meet each other, we've got to paint together, we've got to hang out together, and at a full weeks long, they became the festival, which you can make it out of anything. And that's the most beautiful cultural exchange that we've had, is the exchange of ideas, the exchange of paint, the exchange of food, the exchange of laughs. And my heart is full now, and I'm very happy that you came. And I can't wait to see what the future holds for all of us. So next, for us, our building blocks, the way that I look at it, we're almost like Legos. And it's like seeing how all the little pieces come together over time. We've collaborated with NASA, we've collaborated with NPR, and now we're going to see what the next collaboration is with this cultural exchange. So hopefully for us, our next festival will go bigger, better, invite more people, but also with the exchange, in the future, we will go and visit the Czech Republic and do the same exchange that we did there and see it from that perspective, that point of view, and that eye. Bringing our artists who have never been there before and bringing them here is one of those things that you can't put a price on. Even though it's a price tag, there's an airline, there's a hotel, whatever, it doesn't change the fact that it's family. And it becomes almost instant family because you let people into your home, you break bread, you spill paint, you have laughs. But for the future, I'm excited to figure out what my wall will be there. Excited to bring an artist from there and see what their wall will be here. Was that it?
Okay, nice finish. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm so Charlie.
Cool.
I know you told me.